Hey guys, so before I start this video, I am moving next weekend, so one, this background is going to change very soon, and two, my schedule is going to be a little bit difficult because of packing and moving and all that jazz, so if I'm not posting as consistently as I have been, bear with me. It'll come back. I'm not gonna just leave. But today I wanted to talk about something that is very personal. That's kind of my deal. Like, if you guys don't get this at this point, I don't know what you've been watching. But that's kind of my compositional journey and some of the struggles that I have and some of the fears that I have, because I'm, again, very open about everything, and that's one of the important things that I want on this channel. And of course, we're gonna talk about the things that I'm afraid about. So, for those of you who don't know, I've been kind of, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been kind of dipping my toe into the true composition side of things. Improv obviously was kind of my stepping stone, but recently I have actually written notated pieces. The most recent one was actually the final day of the 100 Days of Music Challenge, New Music Challenge. So I have been writing. I write exclusively for flute because that's what I know. And it's something that people have been super supportive of, and I really, really appreciate everyone's support in my compositional side of this journey. But it is something that I'm very uncomfortable with. The same way I was very uncomfortable with improv when I first started, it's something that I don't trust in myself. It's not a skill that I have perfected in myself. I think that for the most part, I can get a piece of flute music and I can learn it and I can play it well, and I am confident in presenting that to the world. I'm confident in doing something like this to the world, like this, talking to a camera and interacting with an audience that I can never see. I'm comfortable with that. I'm practiced at that. That's something that I enjoy because I know that I can be successful at it. And maybe it's the honors student mentality that I've had, is I don't like failing at things. I don't like being bad at things. And the reality of learning a new skill is that you won't be good at it immediately. There will be failures. So for me, it's kind of wrapping my head around I'm gonna do this publicly. I'm not just gonna not be able to paint well and then throw those out or whatever. I don't have to share the things I do badly normally with the public until I'm comfortable with it. But one of the things with composition is your music has to get performed. I guess it's true that I don't have to perform all the pieces. I don't have to have all the pieces performed that I don't like. But to me, part of being a composer or composing music is sharing it with the world and seeing what people think. I can like things all I want. I can also not like things all I want. But until other people hear it, it doesn't have the same weight. But that is obviously a really scary thing. And I know I'm not unique in this in any way. That's part of what most of my composer friends complain about all the time, is being scared of public opinion and what people are going to think. It is a difficult thing. But obviously when you get more experienced and you've done it more times, it gets practiced and it gets more comfortable, at least in its discomfort. So for me right now, it's a very uncomfortable thing sharing. I also, I have a hard time with the composer label because I don't think that I have a wide enough breadth to say that yet. I've literally only ever written for flute, and that's not to say that composers who only write for flute aren't composers, but for me, I would like at least a few more fully notated compositions under my belt, and a few people that are not me playing my pieces before I really am comfortable calling myself a composer, performer, improviser, or whatever order of that you want to use. And because I didn't go to school for composition, I am actually relatively weak in theory. I don't have a lot of music theory background, and I'm not very good at it. So I also struggle with that, knowing that I don't actually have to be good at music theory to write good music. That is not a thing that has to happen. But I also know so many composers who know theory so well and have so much grounding in theory that their music really shows it and really is well crafted. And I'm just scared. That being said, I also find it incredibly liberating to like finally be able to write these ideas out. I'm really, really happy with the few pieces that I have shared. And it's also really been incredible to see people's responses to it. And I think one of the things that is a benefit to me is because I know my instrument so well, I'm able to write things that are a little bit more complicated to notate and that kind of stuff, because I'm writing for myself mostly, and I know what I want and I know how to describe that to myself. But also I know what is possible and where and how a lot better than a non-flutist composer would, because I play the instrument. I know it better than almost anyone, in terms of like, I know what I can do too, and I know what I can do in the context of what I'm asking. So it's a lot easier to write really effective music because I know exactly how to execute it on the instrument as well. Again, this is not to say that composers who write for flute, who don't play flute, don't write excellent music. It's just an easier skill to have when you know, like, the piece I wrote for 100 Days has straight tone whistle tone, which is not something that I would recommend using very often, but because I knew A, I was playing it, and B, I was putting it on notes that I was comfortable with, and C, I knew the technique behind it and what I needed to do to complete it, that I was comfortable writing that. That's not something that I've seen a lot of because it is something that most flutists would discourage. And honestly, when I was learning it, I was like, why did I do this to myself? Because it is very frustrating. So it's not a mixed bag. It's a very conflicting point I'm at, in that, like, I want to write more. I do want to really kind of expand my composer chops and really stretch and push myself to write better music and write more music and write interesting music. But I'm just a little stuck. I also have this thing where, like, I think that my music is very samey, and I feel like it always kind of ends up the same sound, because of my focus on texture and my focus on, like, dissonance and difference tones and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing the same stuff over and over again. This is true with my improvs as well. I'm just kind of over feeling like that. So I guess I just need to do it more, and then I'll get used to it again. But I don't know. It's just, I'm at this point where I just need to, like, jump off the edge, but I'm like wavering and wavering and wavering, and I don't know what I need to push myself over that edge. Maybe I just need someone to push me off the edge. But yeah, I don't know. This is kind of just a ramble, but basically I'm uncomfortable with being a composer, and I'm trying to figure out how to get better at that. And if you have any suggestions, I would love them. And yeah, also, like, if you also, like, yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a rambly video, but, like, what's new, Robin? If you liked it, please give it a like. If you're new here, subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon, hopefully next week.